I built a $20 million business in less than 5 years by age 30 with over 61 employees, and I used other people's time, other people's money, and other people's skills to do it. I'm gonna break down how you can do the same thing to control your financial destiny. If you wanna add 7 figures to your income or just a couple $100,000, I'm gonna break down why money is other people's time and other people's skills. And I'm gonna break this down in a way you've never heard before, because what do most people say in business and in success? I don't have the money, the time, or the skills to succeed. But that's a complete myth, because we're all born with the same amount of time. Somebody else has the skills that you need in business. So there's other people who can spend time. I gotta break this all down for you because I know it's complicated. So let me bring you back to how I got started in business. When I got started in business, I was working with my dad and he was paying me $500 a week. So $500 a week, and I was doing all of my dad's marketing. My dad is a contractor, and I learned how to launch a Google campaign for my dad. And within 2 weeks of me launching the Google advertising campaign, my dad landed a $250,000 job within 2 weeks of me launching a campaign. So my dad is super excited. I started thinking to myself, man, this kind of sucks, because every week would go by and I would only be making $500 per week. And this is when I first started getting the entrepreneurial bug, where I started thinking to myself, I need to find a job where I can enter a results economy. And you can basically look at a results economy as a percentage, right? When you become an entrepreneur or you become a salesperson, you essentially get a percentage of the results that you produce. There's no guarantee when you go into business for yourself or when you go into sales and you're on commission. So I decided to myself, I wanted to learn sales. So I start looking for jobs, and you'll see how this ties into the time and skill exchange in just a second and how you can use it to make a ton of money. So I start thinking to myself, I need to learn sales. I look for a sales job and I find a job at yellowpages.com. And this is where the biggest epiphany I ever had in business that contributed to me building my business happened. So I joined this company called yellowpages.com, which was known as YP at the time. And within the first week of me joining the company, I start doing all these cold calls and doing outreach around sales. And I immediately realized in the first week, there was a skill I was missing around the ability to cold call people and turn them into signed clients. And that was affecting my percentage, the amount of money that I was making as a salesperson. So I did what every great entrepreneur does, and I pulled out my credit card and I bought a $5,000 sales training course. I had no money at the time. What I was making with my dad was literally just covering my living expenses. So I had a Discover credit card, and I had a $6,000 limit on that credit card. And I bought the sales training course for $5,000 my first week on the job before my paycheck even came in. Because I knew this was the first moment where I exchanged money for other people's skills. And that's one of the key insights, and you'll see in a second how I also exchange money for other people's time within the first 2 weeks of me starting this job. So within week number 1, I buy this sales training course. I spend the entire weekend after my first week on this job going through every single module. I don't even think I slept. I went through 20 hours of content per day, each of the weekend days after my first week on the job. So I entered the next week and I felt like a bat out of hell. I felt so energetic and motivated because I felt like I had a plan behind all this crazy sales activity. So then another problem happens. Okay, within the first 2 days of me doing this sales job at YP, yellowpages.com, I keep doing all these cold calls, and at one moment I think to myself, crap, I can't keep doing cold calls like this because it's taking up my time. I was spending all day calling businesses. Most of the time was spent with the phone ringing and, receptionist picking up the call. I thought to myself, light bulb moment. I just spent money to buy skills by buying that sales training course. Now I'm gonna try step 2. I'm gonna spend money to buy other people's time. How am I gonna do that? Well, I picked up this book called The 4-Hour Workweek, and the book talks about using virtual assistants to scale your time. So I went to, at the time, elance.com, which now is upwork.com, and I put up a job ad and I hired my first virtual assistant. And this person's job was to do the cold calling for me. Now I immediately bought myself half of my week back. I wasn't waiting on the phone all day doing cold calling and talking to gatekeepers and receptionists all day. Now I had all this additional time to spend closing deals and following up on leads. So now instead of me having to reach out to get in touch with these business owners, they were calling me back because of one epiphany. I traded money for other people's time. So what happened here was I traded money for one, skills, other people's skills, and I traded money for other people's time, right? So now I'm starting to gain these sales skills. Now I'm starting to buy my time back so I can become a reinvestor of my time towards closing deals rather than wasting time on the phone. Fast forward to the end of my journey at yellowpages.com. I ended up becoming the #1 sales rep. And this is all like validated information. I was #1 in what's called Winner's Circle and President's Club at yellowpages.com. Literally #1 in the company. And the only reason I was #1 salesperson in the company is because it wasn't just me depending on my own skills and my own time to do the work. I exchanged for other people's skills and other people's time because the most expensive way to learn on the skill front is through trial and error. There's 8 billion people on this planet who have probably already learned the skill that you want to learn. And just by spending some money to learn from other people's skills, you can short circuit the learning process and become world class in something in dramatically less time. Similarly, all of the other sales reps in the company, they would brag about the hard, difficult nature of being a salesperson, right? They would go, oh, you know sales, man. We got to pick up the phone in the morning and we got to get used to getting hung up on. And we've been doing this for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I was just like, dude, this is insane. Like Einstein called insanity doing the same thing and expecting different results. And that's what all these salespeople were doing. I was just like, is this crazy? To me, it was, and that's why I refuse to spend my own time learning skills other people have already learned that I could buy and spending my own time doing things that someone I could pay $5-6 an hour could do just as good as me. I get to the end of my relationship with yellowpages.com and I start thinking to myself, I was finally getting control over my outcomes, meaning I was getting a percentage on everything that I sold in the sales job, but here's a problem. Not all my clients were happy because I had no control over the quality of the work that was being done once I signed people up. And that is where I decided I needed to quit yellowpages.com and start my own business if I wanted to have control not just over the percentage that I receive on what I sell. I want to go to bed at night knowing that I have control over the quality of work that my clients are getting after I sign them up. After I quit the job, okay, I spent 8 months, okay? 8 months in business planning mode, which really means I spent 8 months in a state of anxiety to make my first sale on my own, right? And I framed it as business planning, framed it as getting my ducks in a row, right? But really, I could have made a sale the day I quit the job, and I had this big bonus check that I got when I left yellowpages.com. I had all this momentum built up because I spent $5,000 on a course, right? And in that first year in the job, I made over $250,000, which is a 50x ROI. What's really fascinating is oftentimes people look at, I don't want to pay the interest rate, I don't want to go into debt, but I went into debt. I didn't have the money for that $5,000 course. And my interest rate was probably, I don't even know what they charge on credit cards, 15, 17%, crazy high interest rate annually. But it didn't matter because even if I pay 17% interest on that $5,000, what does that take me to? Does that take me to a 49.8x ROI? See what I'm saying? The ROI, okay, is way, way higher than whatever it is that you need to invest to buy other people's skills. But oftentimes people focus on the wrong thing. Fast forward, I spend these 8 months in this state of anxiety preparing my business, and I essentially, through these 8 months, blow my entire bonus check. And the best thing that ever happened to me at the end of these 8 months, I got to zeros in my bank account. Best thing that ever happened to me as an entrepreneur because it forced me back up against the wall to go out and sell. I remember this one day I looked at myself in the mirror. I was living at this apartment complex in Philadelphia, and I told myself, today is selling day. my living expenses would have depleted my bank account if I didn't make a sale that month. I end up blitzing all the people I'd ever talked to at yellowpages.com. I start blitzing through all these people who never signed up with me from my 2 years of outreach at my prior job. And at the end of the first month, I had 8 clients sign up with me. And you'll see why this is important in just a few seconds. And each of those clients paid me $1,000 a month. So 8 times $1,000 a month. And that was for me to run their marketing services, right? I went from 0 to an $8K a month income in 1 month. So at this point in time, I am like so happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm rich. This is gonna be the best thing ever, right? I completely forgot that I was a 1-employee company and I had just signed up 8 people, and I have to now build all of their campaigns. I have to be their account manager. I have to talk to them every single week on how their marketing results are doing. And I have to go out and get new clients to keep the business growing, right? So I had the most important insight, and you'll see the same 2 insights, buying other people's skills and other people's time, is what allowed me to get through that first phase in my business. So let me explain that to you, okay? Year 1 in my business, I did $450,000, okay? The first full year after that 8-month delay period, I made $450,000. The only way I did that was because I took the $8,000 a month that I earned in that 1 month of time. I took that $8,000 and I took half of it and I spent it on my first employee. Why would I take half of my income and spend it on a full-time employee? Why didn't I just keep that $8,000 a month and just live happily ever after? I didn't want to do all the work myself, and I knew I had to buy other people's time to get to the next level in business. So I bought this $4,000 a month, and this person was my first full-time employee, and they handled all the delivery. Like if you look at business, there's really sales and marketing, and then there's delivering on what you sold, right? So there's sales and delivery in a business. So this $4,000 a month that I spent was for the person to do all of the marketing work for my clients. So think about the amount of time that this bought me. That $4,000 a month that I paid my first full-time employee bought me 20 hours a week. I was spending around 20 hours a week doing all the marketing for my clients. With the extra 20 hours a week that I had, I was then able to do more sales. Instead of me getting weighed down by the 8 new clients that I had, I was able to continue selling. I was able to continue doing outreach, and I was able to continue signing up new clients. Interesting. So I spent this money in order to be able to bring on, over the next few months, another 8 clients. It actually was costing me more money to not hire this employee. That was when I bought time. The second thing, remember, we gotta buy other people's time and we have to buy other people's skills. During this year, I also bought 2 agency growth courses. Those 2 agency growth courses that I bought allowed me to build the systems on the back end of my marketing agency so that this person I was paying $4,000 a month knew what to do all day. The courses gave me the skills on how to create a scalable marketing agency infrastructure. So the same 2 insights that I had my first year as a salesperson are the same 2 insights that I had my first year in business. I took money out of my pocket and I bought other people's skills by buying these 2 agency growth courses, and I bought other people's time by hiring my first employee. Over the course of the next year, okay, in year 2, we went from $450,000 to $1.5 million. Right? It was around $1.45 million. I had to follow the same exact process again, buying other people's skills and other people's time. There's one thing before I explain this I want to make clear. Did I use other people's money to get this whole process started? Yes. I used other people's money when I went into debt on my credit card. I didn't have the money. I used other people's money when I got the 8 clients to sign up with me and pay me $1,000 a month. That was not my money. I didn't ever have the money. I never had the time. I never had the skill. And again, these are the 3 excuses that hold most people back. They don't have the time, the money, or the skills. It was other people's time, money, and skills. So how did we use this again? Doing one-on-one sales is a pain in the ass. You have to reach out to people, you have to get hung up on, and it's all one-on-one. So I started thinking to myself, how can I use my time more effectively? Maybe I should start making videos on YouTube. There's this website called Google, that's the #1 highest traffic website in the world. How can I get in front of my target customers on YouTube and Google so that they call me instead of me having to hem and haw and call all these people and get hung up on? That's where I made the sales to marketing shift. Instead of hiring my first full-time employee in the second year of business, okay, I decided to take $6,000 a month and spend it on Google, just like I did with my dad. I saw my dad land a $250,000 job in 2 weeks of me launching a Google campaign. So I thought to myself, what if I spend $6,000 a month of my money that I was making in my business? What if I spend that on generating new leads instead of hiring a full-time employee? And what happened? Within the first day, I had a client, one call closed, sign up with me for $18,000. Already tripled my investment in the first day. So, light bulb goes off. Marketing is a higher value skill than sales because I can get people to call me and not waste time having to chase people who aren't even interested in what I sell. So I put up these Google ads, like I said, and every time we target lawyers as a company, lawyers would type in lawyer marketing company, law firm SEO company, right? Our ad would pop up, lawyer would click that ad, and then they'd call our company to get a consultation. It was like layups. We would close 50% of these leads into signed clients with no crazy follow-up. So what did I do here? Well, when I invested money in this, okay, when I invested the $6,000 a month in Google, that bought me time and money. I was spending less time doing direct sales outreach, and it bought me direct revenue. And then I also had to buy skill. Well, how did I learn how to run these Google Ads campaigns? Well, I bought a course from Perry Marshall, right? I spent money to buy skills. I didn't go through trial and error to learn how to do the Google campaigns myself. I learned it from someone else who had years and years and years and years experience doing Google Ads campaigns. And then I ended up spending around another $5K a month, and I hired my first salesperson. Well, that bought me time plus skill plus money. So at this point, I went through my first, what I call the CEO identity crisis. I had someone handling the sales, I had someone handling doing the actual work for our clients, and I had an identity crisis. I had outsourced myself out of a job. It was the first time I had the insight that what does it really mean to be a CEO? Well, a CEO is the person who makes investments and sets vision. And I felt so weird about this. I felt guilty. I felt like, who am I to do that? And I remember at the end of this second year in business, I started asking my employees how happy were they working with us. And all of them were like, oh my gosh, we're so happy. Like, thank you so much for all you do for us. I was like, I don't feel like I do anything. I feel like I outsource everything that I once did. And what I realized at that moment is vision is a service. I was providing vision and commitments for us to build a culture, to build a company. And now with 61 full-time employees, I can assure you that it is definitely a service for someone to be an entrepreneur/visionary who can create an opportunity for everyone to do what they love, right? Because not everyone wants to follow this painful process. And that's an opportunity for you if you are entrepreneurial, or you can join a company where someone is entrepreneurial like this so you can do what you truly love. So let's talk about year 3. This is a very important concept, and it's going to be super quick. Year 3, our company went from 1.5 to 4.5 million. And the same exact two things happened here, okay? I kept learning about one-to-many sales, and I read this book called Expert Secrets, which led to the book One-to-Many, and I learned how to sell via webinars. I basically spent money to learn the skill on how to sign up clients through the use of a webinar. And then I also kept hiring, right, so that I could buy time, right? And all of this accumulated to us building a $4.5 million business, okay, which has now turned into a $20 million business, which we've gotten an offer, $45 million cash offer we've gotten for our business, which we have turned down, by the way, all from using the skill and time exchange wisely. I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning how to sell via webinar and through virtual events. Over the last 2 years alone, I have closed over $15–20 million I have sold doing virtual events. I have probably spent, cumulatively year over year, I've probably spent over $500,000 learning from public speaking coaches, webinar experts, masterminds, $500,000, and I've made at least $15 million selling via webinars. Because again, I didn't learn it on my own. I spent money to learn the skill of webinars, to earn that skill, and I keep hiring people to do the work after we sell it, and as we keep scaling up the effectiveness of our marketing efforts so that 1 unit of my time is now being disseminated to hundreds and thousands of people, rather than 1 unit of my time in the early days being spent in a one-on-one sales conversation. In summary, this video is a call to action for you that it does not take time, money, or your personal skills to make money. It takes other people's time, other people's money, and other people's skills, and all you are is the middleman between other people's skills, time, and money, and the vision, right, of your business. And that's what CEOs do. That's what entrepreneurs should do. So never tolerate the excuse in your mind. I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the skills, because it's a myth, and you shouldn't have the time, the money, or the skills. So, hope you found this valuable. If you did, please smash the thumbs up so that YouTube knows this video is legit. Give me a comment below on a piece of this video that wasn't clear or something you want me to make another video on. And make sure you check the description. We'll probably have a link for you to download a free asset from us just for watching this video to the end. Stay great, and I'll see you in the next one.